Welcome, everyone. It's approximately 6:30 a.m. this morning, and siberX Transit Systems is experiencing something that they have not witnessed before. It appears that what is happening may have been similar to what could have been seen in Kelowna, Victoria, and Windsor airports. But to be brutally honest with you, this is completely uncharted territory for siberX Transit Systems. There is a media report that has come in. I'd like to draw all of your attention to this report starting now.
Good morning. I'm Roshan Khan with ODTN News. Toronto is facing one of its most unsettling mornings in recent memory. Just after sunrise, siberX Transit System screens across the city displayed the message, "Take over loading," the same warning seen briefly a few weeks ago. This happened at the worst possible time. Stations were already packed with commuters, and the city is even more crowded than usual due to surge in holiday tourists. When the message also played over the PA systems, panic broke out. Crowds rushed for the exits, leading to minor injuries that the paramedics are struggling to reach because of staffing shortages due to the same crisis. Turnstiles froze, schedules disappeared, and confidence vanished almost instantly as rumors of a terrorism threat spread online, amplified by social media. Many commuters are now choosing to wait outside in the cold rather than risk entering a system they no longer trust, leaving major hubs overflowing and the city's reputation taking a hit during one of its busiest seasons. We are also hearing reports that some commuters received emails from what appear to be an official STS address containing the same takeover loading message. That has intensified fears that this may be more than just a system-wide malfunction. Some are worried they could be directly targeted, drawing comparisons to a recent incident in Halifax where residents received threatening digital messages before several people were harmed. siberX Transit Systems CEO Sean Raza addressed the public through a brief LinkedIn statement, acknowledging that the messages are under investigation and emphasizing that public safety remains the organization's top priority. But confidence is dwindling. With trains at a standstill, information scarce, and crowds swelling by the minute, the city's nerves are stretched thin. This is the time of year when families, businesses, and essential services depend on every minute. And this morning, time has stopped. I'm Roshan Khan, this is ODTN News, and we will continue to follow the story as Toronto's transit lifeline hangs in the balance.
Systems whisper before they break. This is certainly something that was not expected. I've convened this table with a bunch of experts from STS and our industry experts to start diving into this. Vivek, if I can come to you and ask you to unmute. As the advisor to the board, you were the first one to bring this to our attention and immediately called for us to get together. The incident commander is here as well. Vivek, from your perspective, what's going on in your head right now?
At this stage, we're primarily concerned about safety, restoring service, understanding the scope of what's going on, who are the point people leading the investigation internally, is the IT team on site. So those would be initial questions. The expectation would be there are some drafted press statements on standby, that we would have alternative bus services on standby and be doing some readiness checks to deploy those capabilities. And, but it's really not clear yet what is the scope. It's not clear yet what caused it. And it's not clear yet, what is the safety impact assessment of the situation.
Fair enough. With that said, and if I can ask you to mute your mic, which you've done, just a reminder, 2 mics at a time, please. Ali, Incident Commander, welcome to this. I was going to say that this is the kind of situation that we take a lot of time to prepare for, but you're 2 days old in our organization. Welcome to the hot seat, quite literally. Immediate next steps from your perspective.
Sure. So before we panic and we start basically coming up with assumptions, we need to confirm and understand the type of incident or event that we are going through. So the very first thing that I'm going to ask our IT side and experts that whether we have had similar type of situation in the past, that even at partial type of situation that has caused any type of misinformation or this type of events before we go to the next step. So if I can get that confirmation whether we have had similar situation or not, that would be great.
Alex or Shrey, you're all from the SOC as well as the overall team managing our network infrastructure. Is there anything you want to add to that?
Good morning. Back from a nice vacation. So what we need to do first is understand what is actually being impacted. As Vivek suggested, we do need to understand, is it a technical impact or is it also operational? Are the trains affected? Are the control systems of the trains affected? So we're going to start doing, trying to track down, is this, the takeover notice, is that just for a couple stations or is it system-wide? As well as look at any other anomalies within our digital platform.
Fair enough. Thank you very much, Alex. Very shortly on the screens, you will begin to see that, and to my folks at the front here, you'll see this on your tablets ahead of you. And to the audience, you'll see it pop up on the screen right now. This is what we're looking at this point. Across multiple stations, we see the following message: takeover loading. This is a screenshot from 3 different centers, and I can assure you that this is happening at multiple sites at this point. I am working hard to gather more information, but Hashim, Zimperium, dealing with endpoint, stuff like these applications, what's top of mind for you right now when you're seeing this? As I know the SOC is busy trying to put together all of the infrastructure to explain to you how this system works. But right now, what's top of mind when you see such a takeover of what looks like our PA system?
Great question. For me, top of mind is where and why did this happen, right? We want to figure out sort of, is this a cause of the device itself, or is this more symptomatic of a broader issue that could be stemming from our back end, right? So one's a slightly bigger problem than the other, so kind of figuring out where this stems from is top of mind for me.
Fair enough. Thank you, and I'm trying to get more information for you as we go along, so please bear with me. The team, the SOC team, once you have some information, please feel free to ping me. Let's give it a few more minutes. I know that there's more information that's coming in. Amar, from an RSM standpoint, you've been talking to us for a while about these potential attacks. You were the one who actually texted Alex when the whole situation happened in Kelowna and Victoria and Windsor airports, the takeover of the screens. I hate to say it, but it was a told you so kind of a moment. But right now, what do you think from an RSM perspective? What's our top priority? Seeing what we're seeing and knowing the very little that we know.
Sure. At this point, what it appears, there is certainly some kind of a technical issue. We want to do the troubleshooting and investigation to determine whether this is some infrastructure network issue or this is some cyber incident. In the news report, there was a mention about email that was officially delivered from our email address to the subscribers. So we want to start there from the investigation point of view to determine whether that email actually originated from our system or not.
All right. Thank you very much, Amar. I'm getting more information coming in. Alex and Shrey, I'm going to come to you very shortly. But right now, I do want to hear from Shilpa as well as Michael. Michael, we'll start off with you. So you're the public safety IT specialist. The one thing I can tell you is a hashtag that is going around is STS, stands for Skip the Subway. and this is impacting our reputation. From your perspective right now, public safety IT specialist, any actions we need to take, or are we still sitting as we are?
Good morning. Right now, we're still a little in the dark of exactly what is happening here. So our priorities from the IT safety side is to get a better understanding of the technology, where some of the weaknesses are, what could have led to this, and to isolate it. But right now, we don't have enough information to really to answer any of those questions yet, so we're working on it.
Thank you, Michael, and good morning, I guess, to you too. Shilpa, legal and compliance, any immediate action steps that you are recommending at this point?
I think it's still early time. It's a little bit of a wait and watch. But from a legal and compliance perspective, we've already seen some of the exposure coming out of public safety. I think that's going to be a major area of concern right now to make sure that there is no incident that happens due to public safety. The other thing I think we would suggest doing right now, as we've really seen it is happening at multiple stations at the same time, is to start looking at what are some of our regulatory obligations, whether it's federal, provincial, sectoral. I think this would be the right time to start looking at them now to make sure that we don't run into any soup. I would start to get my team ready if this blows into a full-blown incident. I know we're still investigating. Right now, there's no evidence of it, but because sometimes just misinformation can even trigger a critical infrastructure incident. So we just have to remember this is critical infrastructure. This is a little bit different than just an IT outage or a cyber incident. So we have to start looking at our legal and compliance requirements right away, whether it's vendor obligations, just to understand who's owning the system, what has happened. Do we need to start kicking off some contractual obligations? Do we start reviewing them? Do we start putting a legal hold in the organization to maintain chain of custody? Early steps, but these are some things that are running in my mind right now as we figure out more information.
Thank you for that. Gurvinder and Kelly. Gurvinder, with you managing third-party risk, Kelly, with you on the digital governance lead, I am going to come to you very shortly. I have to let the audience know that this system that looks to have been taken over, this system has been one that has been of rich debate here at STS. And recently we've had some consolidation of stacks, all our eggs in one basket, because I guess OPEX looked very pretty to everyone. And now we're having a lot of questions around this. We will go into the depths of this environment very shortly. But SOC team, you're wearing multiple hats. We recently had a reduction in force as well. So besides managing security and some of our IT operations as well, when needed, you take on other tasks. And it seems like you've got a map up for us to give us a sense of the scope of what we're experiencing. Please go ahead, Shrey.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ali, and good morning to you too. What you're seeing here is a live operational map of the GTA. The red indicators over here, they are showcasing the distress signals that have begun to surface. These are not simply the mechanical failures that we're experiencing. They are anomalies in the information systems which powers through the city's transit operations. Stations across Scarborough, North York, downtown, and the West End have all reported mismatches between the local data and what seems to be like the central system is infected in a possible way. The PE announcements are contradicting the real conditions. Some station workstations have been dropping offline, getting online. We are seeing random information coming through. Individually speaking, these events would be routine. However, but the pattern over here, the speed at which the red points are being showing up at the moment, it seems like a coordinated disruption. I'm seeing something new for the very first time in my tenure here at STS. It's completely new, Ali.
Alex, did you want to chime in on this?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, we do need to recognize that we are doing an investigation on possible interruptions on the IT, but also we need to call out every station manager to validate, are they seeing the same things? Are they hearing the same things on the PA system? If you recall, the PA system was upgraded as part of our digital transformation. So it is actually an AI voice that is making announcements. So we do want to make sure that that we can validate that this is happening in isolated stations or across the entire network.
Shrey, there is a question that has come in for you, and Alex, if I can ask you to unmute, and this comes from our online audience. SOC team, can you clarify, are you saying that the data on the nodes do not match the data on the central server?
That is correct, Ali. That's true. The systems which are communicating in real time with the telemetries, there is discrepancies which I'm been noticing, but it's still very early to confirm any single piece. I'm still looking into it. The SOC team will investigate further, and I'll keep you posted with more updates.
Fair enough. Incident Commander, you've just been given a sense of the little bit of what we're experiencing right now. Command away. Shrey, can you mute, please? Thank you. Go ahead.
From the SOC operation, do we have any IOCs that indicating any type of compromise or suspicious activities going on within our network? And the other one that I want to know, as Ali mentioned, because I'm new to the environment, are these systems basically hosted on-prem or are they in cloud, and any third parties involved with the managing these such systems?
Okay. Addressing the first question, right now we are not seeing any indicators. It's still very early into the situation. And for the second part, the system is hybrid. We recently had a infrastructure haulover in a way. We are certain parts of it on cloud, certain parts of it on-prem.
Shrey, can I ask that in the next few minutes you also put together a diagram of how this solution has been architected? Because I'm sure, Hashim, at this point, you have a couple of questions on the system architecture itself. Go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. Having a mobile background myself, is the mobile devices that we do have, what are they connected to, right? Where do they get their information from, and how often are the devices themselves being updated, right? Last thing we need is a 2011 type of device being out there in the open, possible compromise. So those are sort of the questions I'd want to know.
I'm sorry, folks. You guys are missing the whole situation here. We have people freezing outside. They're trying to get to school. They're trying to get to work. And I can't believe what I'm hearing. You guys are evaluating laws and regs. You guys don't know who your third parties are. You're drawing diagrams now. This is too late. We must continue the investigations that you're mentioning, but let's also think about safety. We need to shuttle these people. We need to make sure we've got bus drivers on standby, ready to deploy, if not deployed already. And we should be reviewing, what did we change last night? Is it a failed change? Was there something in our system that we tried to upgrade last night? Like, let's just get very tactical and try to take care of the citizens, because we must demonstrate that we're doing everything in our power to keep the citizens safe, our customers. And that includes making sure the trains remain off. I don't know if we can trust our communication systems, even if we're seeing displayed messages and emails coming from another site. It's not 100% confirm our systems are compromised, but we probably need to activate a protocol on a trusted channel as well. So I'm not seeing this kind of step up yet, and I'm disappointed that we're trying to create some stuff that should already have been existed, and no one is calling out how are we helping out the customer.
All right, angry advisor, thank you so much. Kelly, you are our digital governance lead. Hearing what you've heard so far, any immediate steps or any actions that you feel we're missing? I know Shrey is busy trying to gather some more information, is drawing the diagram of the architecture, but anything else?
Yeah, thanks. And I appreciate the comment about we need to think about the safety of all the people who are depending on our transit system. So I would offer two suggestions. One is, it sounds like we have no information that there is an issue with the trains running. This is really the communications, the unified communications network, which is all the messages that they're getting on the screens on their app over the PA system, but not actually impacting the trains. So I think we should confirm that. as quickly as possible, that the trains themselves are not impacted and the running of them. And the second thing is, it seems that this message, because we have the new unified communication system, which allows us to broadcast one message quickly across all platforms, it has allowed a hacker to do that same thing with the speed that we put in place for good instead of evil. So I would just say that we should also try to override the message that has been put on there, or consider just shutting down the communications until we get control of that again.
I'm getting some information about some alerts that are coming in. I will stick to that. Alex, you keep pinging me saying you have something to add. Jump in. This is our war room. You're expected to jump in.
Well, I do agree with Vivek that we do need to always focus on safety of our ridership. Right now, we don't have anything to confirm that there is any safety issues. What we do have is our digital information systems are interrupted, and that is causing a little bit of chaos and concern and brand reputation for sure. But so far, we're not seeing any impacts to control systems. We've reached out to operations to validate, again, at a station level, what's the status, but also to train ops and tunnel ops. There's no impact so far. So right now, we do want to get this before it gets out of hand. I think there is a risk that people will start avoiding using our systems if we can't provide any clarity, or if this escalates.
Fair enough. Thank you to Hashim and Amar. I'm going to be coming to you very shortly, but Gurvinder, if I can get your attention to this right now, and if you can unmute. Firstly, I'm going to draw your attention to what you're seeing on your screens right now. This has been shared with us by a bunch of riders. They've posted it on socials as well. We do have a siberX transit systems app that sends you updates on your route, and a lot of them have received the following email. It reads, "Hello, this is an automated notice from the siberX transit systems operational network. A status update has been logged to your terminal. I can guarantee you this is not language that is used in our internal comms or external comms. Status, takeover loading, process 23%, source unknown, authorization priv elevated, not you. If you believe this message is in error, contact your system administrator. They won't answer. No signature found." If you didn't detect the moment, you're certainly going to detect the fallout, because this is going to lead to a lot of fallout. Gurvinder, after this, I'm going to hear from both of our industry experts, and then Shrey will have a diagram of the system and will explain to you how our PA system and communication systems are architected. But as a third-party risk manager, what's coming top of mind for you right now, and any actions that you recommend that we haven't discussed so far?
What I've not heard is, what is the recovery plan, and how do we try to put the systems that are automated into manual mode? We have not called the station managers to guide them. How are we going to turn the systems off or put it in a manual way so that we can communicate effectively to our customers?
Hashim, based on what you've just heard, you're now seeing that it's the PA system. Thank you for that, Gurvinder, by the way. And I will bring that up with Alex and Shrey. It's clear that something is going on where our endpoints have basically been tampered with to some extent. It seems like emails are going out as well. From a Zimberium standpoint, is there anything from these systems, some logs, anything that you would like to see at this point? I know Alex is messaging me, and he's just told me, and I'll read to you verbatim what Alex just said. "Hey, Ali, I'm a little nervous to share this, but I'll share it with you. I will share it publicly. Forensics against email to determine if it's coming from our system in parallel review." Are there any logs that we need at this time? We haven't mentioned any. Your perspective?
Yeah, absolutely. Having logs is paramount at this point. Understanding if the devices that have been tampered with were jailbroken, if they have malware on them. Looking at the OS level logs, right? Understanding, are these devices communicating with servers that are unexpected? Right, so kind of understanding the processes that are running on any sort of device that we have, and then kind of the secondary fact to that, this email kind of highlights a broader cybersecurity problem, which is panic is a cybersecurity issue. So regardless of the overall cause, this email itself causes panic, which would kind of create a fallout.
All right, Shreya, I think next after Amar, I'd like to come to you because I believe you have your diagram ready. Amar, from your perspective, you've seen these emails as well. We're seeing questions coming in. What direction would you like to give us at this point? What are we missing?
Absolutely. This email seems to be concerning. We want to do the email analysis specifically on this email. Let's extract the headers to determine whether it originated from our email server or not. In case of a compromise, it would have been originated from our server, so we would see our IP address, our domain names, and such in there. And in that case, we want to expedite the investigation, review the further audit logs of email, like how the email was accessed and what happened after the access and all of that. And on top of that, we also want to be proactive and review the PA system logs to determine, what if we are seeing any indicators of compromise or not. I understand we don't have any indicators of compromise alerts from SIEM yet, but sometimes automated alerts misses out on advanced threats like insider threat, zero-day vulnerabilities, and things like that. So we should keep that in mind too.
Folks, if I can add, let's not get too distracted by the email. Anyone can spoof a source email address. We got a message on our console which matches the unauthorized message on all our displays, and no one should be doing changes in the middle of rush hour. We can no longer trust our systems. We need to activate serious playbooks here, folks. Don't be chasing red herrings here. The system is no longer trusted, in my opinion. We need an impact assessment. What is the separation between the train control systems and the corporate systems? Because if it isn't sufficient, we need to make some serious decisions here. I'm not hearing, who's going to be taking that assessment and what time are we going to make that decision?
Okay, Ali Shahidi, second day on the job. I'm sorry, but you deal with vivacious Vivek here.
Sure. We need to know, are we still in charge, and do we have the full access and the privileged access on our systems? So I'm going to ask our IT team whether we do have, or we see any type of suspicious accounts that they were not supposed to be in our basically system or access management system, or do we have a still privileged access? And that means that we can overwrite and go and basically isolate the environment and try to block any suspicious, again, activities. It can be either internal or external, regardless. And it can be also a business email compromise. There are different type of attack vectors that we are dealing with here. And but we need to first make sure that we are in charge. So from IT side, I want to know, do we still have the full access to our environment?
All right, Sok, before you jump in, I'm seeing a lot of questions coming in online. I'll address one of them directly. Are these alerts or these transit or overload, whatever these messages are these popping up on other transit systems as well? Yes, it is popping up on a variety of buses that are in motion as well as in trains. We're seeing it across multiple sites. SOC, you stand for, what is it, snacks, order, and chaos. So please feed us with this wonderful diagram that you have created, and I'm sure Vivek will be immensely pleased with how rough this is and how prepared you are.
Absolutely. So here's something for, as you said, vivacious Vivek. Let's take a moment to zoom out and look at the architecture properly. Here's something which powers the entire transit system. This is how the full flow of information moves from system to public. Every single app notification, every station screen, every PA announcement. What becomes immediately clear is that this environment is highly connected with each other. Every single component you see is cohesive, they're functional, they're working from the DevOps perspective, from a dev perspective. However, from a SOC standpoint, we are seeing some bottlenecks. Across the top, you have riders, employees, and partner systems. Everything from mobile apps to digital kiosks to third-party data feeds like Google Maps. All of these interfaces, they rely on a single consolidated front end, and behind that sits the entire ecosystem of microservices. Now, I'm not going to flesh out a lot over scheduling and digital messaging and all of those details, but underneath all of that is the real heart of the system, which at the end of the day is the priority right now from a SOC perspective. The message bus. This is the circulatory system of the entire network. Every microservice publishes to it, every downstream system subscribes to it, and every public-facing display ultimately depends on the messages which are coming its way. This model, from a dev perspective, is very powerful. From a development, DevOps and all of that, yes, it works, it's functional and great, but it also creates unavoidable bottlenecks. In our personal perspective, it's still very, very early to point out that, hey, this might be the issue or that might be the issue. We are investigating into multiple areas, but this is the basic overview of the architecture that we have known so far. We can dive into a lot of these services from the management towards IAMs and the KMS and the CI/CD pipelines that we have right now, but it is all a multi-tiered architecture. Distributed, performing its own responsibilities. However, there are certain loopholes which I personally see.
It's not clear on this diagram where the train control systems are, track control systems. Is that on this diagram, a separate diagram? Is it incomplete? Can you clarify?
Yeah, so our operational technologies is isolated from this, following best practices. Just to give a little bit more context, this is part of our Digital Transformation 2024 project. It was a little bit behind, but we have been rolling it out. And really what this solution was to solve was aggregating multiple disparate applications into a centralized solution on the cloud, because that's what we do these days. And the point of moving to a microservice architecture was to really have one centralized source of truth of all data. So a lot of those microservices up there, there are some that do talk to the control systems, but it is a one-way link. It is pulling data off of those systems, and that then feeds into scheduling, which then feeds into some of the real-time updating that we send to our apps, our digital signage, our PA systems, as well as our external partners, Google Maps as an example, but also municipality. Right now, we are seeing the indicators of compromise are not technical at this point beyond user experience. So this would be that the digital signs are not showing our data, but somebody else's data. So that's a concern. Secondly, the PA system, which is an automated system that we feed a script to, and then it announces on schedule. That is the other indicator that something is going wrong. So right now what we are going to do is security team is going to be looking at our perimeter, looking at the typical logs to understand through our SIM technology. Secondly, we need to start diving into the applications that are running those microservices. Now, a problem with this architecture, and this is something I brought up numerous times during design and even authorization to operate, is we don't have a lot of visibility into this. The development team didn't really understand our requirements for logging and general observability. So there is no stream of information from a lot of these services into our SIM. So that might require a little bit more manual hands-on. So first things first is I'm going to be working with the DevOps team to look at the digital signage microservice and see if there has been any compromise of that application, and try to understand how that data is getting up on the screens. Lastly, The PA system and the screens are embedded systems at all stations, so they are pretty dumb. We don't have a lot of ability to interact with them. They just connect to the network, phone home to the message bus, the API, which is then pulling data off of the message bus.
Fair enough. Two questions, and before I go to Gurvinder, Shrey, you might want to reflect on this. One says, can we get a list of API endpoints accessed by all the affected systems? This is something that I would like you to reflect on. Gurvinder, I know you wanted to chime in, and then I want to go to Michael as well. Gurvinder, please.
Sure. We're into 45 minutes, and we don't know yet it's an incident or no. What is our definition and parameters to define an incident? And second, I would like to know is have someone already looked into the recovery mode? If an incident is declared, what steps do we need to do? What I'm not hearing here is sense of urgency, just like Vivek. You guys gotta have a sense of urgency. What is our plan B? How are we going to recover if an incident is declared?
Ali, this is the kind of questions that caused you to lose the hair, but back to you.
Well, I have already lost them.
You had a mustache last time. That's gone too.
Well,
I think, Ali, I just want to jump in I'm getting a little bit angsty here as a legal and compliance advisor. I want to map up my legal exposure quite early. Somebody needs to tell me what I need to do here. Do I need to reach out to start looking at insurance claims? Do I need to reach out to public safety officers? Police officers? Do I need to reach out to Canadian Centre for Cybersecurity if we need any additional help here? Like I'm not really seeing, to Gurinder's point and Vivek's point, I'm not really seeing a sense of urgency here concerning this as critical infrastructure. So I need a little bit clarity so I can work with Vivek and Gurinder to chalk out some plan and start streamlining some communications.
Amar, I think you wanted to chime in? Yes. Gurinder, yeah, if you can mute, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to ask two things. Alex, first question, just from the REIS point of view, you mentioned OT network is isolated. So is it fully air-gapped or there is some jumping point in between so that can help us understanding the risk in case of an unauthorized access? And previously it was mentioned that we reduced some workforce in the SOC, and now there are some gaps in the logging in critical infrastructure. As a result, we are going to dive manually to hunt for the indicator of compromise. Do we have the expertise in the team to do that? And do we have any deeper role that in the team can do that?
Okay, Alex, I'll ask you to pause on that question and respond to it, but Ali, we need to hear from you, and then we'll go to Alex and Shrey. Go ahead, Ali. Thank you.
Before we continue any more type of technical investigation, and based on what I see, we don't have the needed information, even from the identity access management and access control to our environment. So to answer Vivek and our safety advisor, we need to declare this as an incident, because this is confirmed that we have issues that they are unusual and not basically normal, regardless of whether they are suspicious or not. Until we get that confirmation from technical teams, we need to declare the incident in here when we need to basically execute our business continuity plan, BCP, as soon as we can, assuming that we do have the BCP in plan for every single one of those stations.
Assumptions are very interesting. Kelly, anything that you want to add?
I will say that we do have BCP plans for the communication platform. They've been tested at the individual level, but we have not done an integrated test. So we are a bit at risk that some components of that plan, as we start invoking it, could have issues.
Okay, Alex and Shrey, I'm going to buy you a few more minutes. Michael, there's a question for you as well as Hashim. Hashim, I'll ask you this question as well, and I think it's well targeted, given Zimperium's expertise. Shouldn't the organization have been able to detect when unauthorized alerts or screen messages have been pushed to devices? Like, isn't this indicating a severe gap in their monitoring architecture?
100%. I only say that sort of tongue-in-cheek because it is paramount that mobile threat detections are on every device. I think we're, as sort of a cybersecurity community, not really understanding the severity that comes with unprotected mobile devices, right? I personally use email and everything on my cell phone, and to have that compromised, as well as any other device I would have, is equally bad. So having a level of protection would have sort of gotten us out of this jam, and having a level of log analysis actually on the device would help us once we got to this point.
Fair enough, Shrey and Alex. I'm going to come to you next. I can just say that Hashim is definitely recommending that y'all be fired. In this kind of situation, the incident commander will offer emotional patching, but nothing else really. Michael, you got this fancy title, Public Safety IT Specialist. I think we're not feeling very safe at this point. Your thoughts?
Well, it's evident that the designers of this system, minds above my pay grade, have set security as a secondary consideration when implementing this digital transformation. We are working hard to collect the logs that apparently are not being fed into the SIM so that we can see what has changed, who was authorized to make those changes, and exactly where and when this threat actor, if that's what's going on here, was able to compromise our system. Yeah, we're not happy, and we're losing our hair too.
Yeah, you walked in with a full stack of it, but clearly this has had an impact on you. I am getting some more information. I am browsing through socials as well. My screen will pop up very shortly, but Shrey and Alex, a lot has been thrown at you. I gladly do not want to speak for you, so I will unmute and have you respond at this point. I know that the incident commander is getting a push from Vivek and his now growing army of advisors to determine is this an incident or not, but over to you, Shrey and Alex.
Absolutely. I'll keep this short, Ali. There are three things which the SOC is focusing on right now. Number one, the log reviews. We are looking at things what went wrong, historically speaking. And number two, we are also looking at the stale accounts, if any. We are looking at unauthorized accesses, if any. Those are the priorities at the moment. Yes, we have activated some internal plans right now, but as you said earlier, we have had many layoffs throughout the year. It's been tough. We are in shortage of resources at the moment, and just not completely, the table is not full. I'm just going to put it at that.
Alex, go ahead.
Yeah, I've got some updates as well. So, to address the operational technology concern, we do employ data diodes so that we're able to stream telemetry out of the controls network, but not access it. So, we're not concerned there right now. We have a long-standing, one-way relationship with engineering, primarily because they don't trust IT. So there is some isolation there. So I am very confident that nothing has been impacting OT at this point. Vivek, you did have a question about were there any changes last night? Well, this is a modern environment. DevOps is pushing changes sometimes hourly. So we do have to look back through our change log and see what has been pushed right now. But as I mentioned, it is a high frequency environment. So that does get updated quite a bit. Lastly, again, I'm generally the one that says, let's not declare until we have all the facts. But while we don't have as many technical IOCs right now to say for certain that we have a compromise, it's pretty obvious that there has been an unauthorized access to a critical system, a communication system, and that's affecting the integrity. That is what our ridership trusts, and we do need to start enacting a communication plan at a minimum, but also consider what we may need to do if we have to turn off some of the technology and run manually.
Kelly, go ahead.
Yeah, just briefly, I think there's a comment made that security was not taken into account or was placed second. I think we need to be careful with our comments because we don't actually know what's happened yet. However, I do agree that we should be declaring it's an incident, whether it's a security breach or not. It is a major incident. And then to Alex's comment, for containment, I think we need to make a decision, figure out if we can change the message that's on all the communication boards and all the avenues. If not, should we bring it down while we're doing our investigation? For the containment, I think that the fear will travel faster than fact. And the longer we leave this message up in front of people, the more people that are seeing it and sharing it. So we need to contain that message at some point quickly.
All right, thank you, Kelly. And I can tell you that many advisors, including Vivek, they're staring at the SOC and NOC team. They're not judging. They're quietly documenting, I guess. Captain Incident Commander.
Well, I haven't heard anything yet. The answer to my question, do we have the full access to our environment? And that's from the IT side and technical side. We need to make sure that we are still in charge and we have the access, privileged access to our environment, that we can do anything related to the containment or eradication or whatever we are going to do, or recovery. So can I have the answer to that, please?
I can confirm we do have access. We have maintained and retained throughout. There has not been a single moment where the access was lost. Neither the uptime has taken a hit in any possible way. One fact regarding the privileged accesses, to make any changes to certainly contain the scenario, yes, we do have specific controls in place. One more thing actually, we're trying to figure out what to contain. That's the bigger problem to answer at the moment.
Okay, Michael, I do want to come to you next. We have about 9 minutes to go. I do want to bring everyone's attention to this development right now. As you can see, look, I don't want to get into an attribution game right now. It's way too early, and I take all of your counsel with that, but we are monitoring, and as part of our security practices, we are monitoring social media as well. There's a couple of posts that have gone out. I can't identify who these people are. I mean, Amal at I Hate This App 9 and Omar Thompson, big boy. Why is there a whole masked figure getting off the train like it's a movie villain? Security nowhere to be found. People keep acting like we're overreacting, but look at the timing. Suspicious people randomly appearing at stations during a takeover warning. Come on. I'm looking at this. I'm wondering how these individuals even got access to this footage. And I will leave it at that suspense cliffhanger so that you can munch on it for a bit and maybe come back to me with some theories, because that's all that I seem to be hearing so far. Michael, I think you have a theory which has been floating around since 2023. Please go ahead.
Yeah, from the IT side of things, we've been very clear that we didn't think that this system was secure from the beginning. We thought it was junk. We've been trying our best to work with it, and taking the lead and trying to implement it as best we can. But we know it's junk. There's opportunity for physical access to the system that we're not sure about. We have no way of knowing where this compromise came in, if it's a compromise. While we might have control of the system, we can't be certain that somebody else doesn't as well. So until we figure that out, it doesn't matter if we believe we do have control of the system. As for this guy in a sweater on December 4th in Toronto, that doesn't concern me at all. I see these guys everywhere. I wore a sweater to get here today. Thanks.
Fair enough. Thank you, Michael. I am just going to let everyone know it is 10:13 right now. I do have permission to go on until 10:23, so we have 10 more minutes. We are getting a lot of push that we need to declare what is going on over here. So I am going to push us towards that very shortly. With that said, Hashim, there's a question for you. I'll reword it just a little bit. This has come to me directly, and thank you again to the siberX team for keeping me on multiple platforms, but keeping me abreast of what's going on. Hashim, what indicators would have helped determining whether the false takeover loading alerts originated from a device compromise, an app manipulation, or a backend breach? Now, I don't know why they're assuming it's a false takeover loading, but I guess what they're trying to understand is, should there have been some indicators of compromise?
Yeah, absolutely. From the app perspective, we're going to be looking for any sort of tampering, any sort of repackaging, or even if the app was downloaded from a third-party source. It's not uncommon that applications are taken to a third party, decompiled, figuring out what's going on, possibly pulling some misconfigured settings, and then put back on. From a back-end setting, we're going to be looking for any sort of stolen credentials. We absolutely have to look at server logs as well, just to understand kind of where things are going wrong from that back end. And then finally, for the device, it's important to understand kind of, like I said before, OS level log anomalies, any sort of jailbreaking or routing, which would allow you to escalate those privileges and maybe bypass some of the security that we're using today, unfortunately.
Thank you. Vivek, I think you have something from the board. I think, Amar, this might also be of interest to you. Vivek, please go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'm hearing some good things. I'm encouraged that we're starting to move in the right direction, but please stop trying to figure out the historical aspects of this incident. We need to focus on the scope and safety so that we can get to containment. Right now, the board's asking me, we need 3 communications drafted immediately. 1 for the board, what happened, who's running it, when are the updates going to come, what are the safety impact assessments. The second we need is, what are we going to tell the public? We need to let them know what to do, how long is this going to take, what we're doing about it, and our priorities about their safety. And 3, we need an internal for our staff. We need to guide them how to respond to people. People are going to be upset. These are crowded spaces. Legal's already reached out to law enforcement. They're sending in extra troops there. But people get antsy when they're crowded. So we need those 3 comms. I think we need to call in help. I'm not seeing enough traction between the SOC and IT. I'm sorry, these teams are moving too slow and they're too understaffed on systems that we don't understand fully. So let's get some help. Let's call the help in now, because that's going to take time. And I think we also need to think about shutting down things. We need to think about what's our plan to shut down the display and disable the trains if we can't trust them. We're not there yet, but if we need to, let's start to build that plan.
Okay, Michael, I got your message as well saying, let's unplug the junk and put up a paper sign. The reality is that we'll try to phone a friend to see if we even have staff to execute on this. Amar, I want to get your perspective from RSM here before I shift it to Ali, Alex, and Shrey to determine or help us determine if we are ready to declare this as an incident.
I think from my point of view, I think we are ready. Clearly, there is some sort of unauthorized access going on with our PA system, with the camera feeds that are being displayed. So clearly, there is some sort of unauthorized access. Having said that, containment should be expedited as well, and the containment strategy needs to be discussed. It can be a targeted containment or a full network containment. It needs to be strategized.
Thank you, Amar. Ali, we need to move towards, are we declaring this an incident or not? Soon on my screen, images are going to pop up of crowds developing outside stations, so something needs to give.
Yes, this is a confirmed incident, and we need to act on it, and regardless of whether suspicious or not. I heard also that there have been basically overly type of changes applied to the system. I'm hoping that there are documents about that, and they do testing prior to that. It might be just, again, a bug or whatever, but at the same time, it is definitely an incident that we need to declare that a crisis and basically go back again, fall into the business continuity plan or BCPs and execute and start doing that.
Wanted to chime in? Go ahead, Shilpa.
Yeah, I think if we're decided that we are confirming this is an incident now, I do want to trigger a legal hold to make sure that we are preserving all the logs, whether are coming from any PA systems, any internal chats, any transcripts, everything, to maintain the chain of custody. So it's really, really important we do that. And then to earlier point that Vivek mentioned, I think this is high time we start looking at some of our partners, whether it's Canadian Centre of Cybersecurity or any other law enforcement helps to start helping us now. The other thing, as soon as we call this an incident, I'm looking at some of our regulatory obligations. We are bound by the Critical Infrastructure Act. So we want to make sure that we start working on the templates right now to start reporting to the regulatory authorities. Other thing I want to know before we start, as we are investigating, nobody's yet talked about, have we seen any personal information getting leaked yet or not? Do we know, is there any personal information system contained on those PA systems? Do we have any indication of that? If we do, then we need to trigger some of our privacy compliance and start reaching out to our privacy commissioner. I just want to be ready for that.
Amar, go ahead. You can unmute. You'll need. Yep. Go ahead, Amar.
I think Shilpa made a great point about capturing the evidence before we contain, because that's very important in the incident response to be able to determine whether there was any personally identifiable information got compromised or not.
Fair enough. Gurvinder, did you want to chime in quickly?
Yeah, we need to activate the bridge for the third-party vendors. All are involved in it, so that we have a clear line of communication, and so that we can mobilize all of them that are involved.
Perfect. Hashim, Amar, get building a bridge. Ali, go ahead. And just before, Ali, you go on, I want to draw everybody's attention to what you're seeing on the screen right now. We have a fictitious site called ODTN.news. And on this site, it's come to my attention, thank you to this really, really pesky reporter, Roshan Khan, who cannot stop investigating this incident, for sharing this with me, that a couple of weeks ago, for a couple of seconds, we did have this message come up on the screen. I'm just going to politely park this there because nobody brought this up. But Alex, this is probably why you will start losing your hair, but we'll talk about that separately. Ali, go ahead.
Well, I heard from Vivek mention that we need to start shutting down the systems, and which is the right thing. I want to just make sure that from the containment perspective, we are not going to shut down the systems or the servers. We are going to unplug them and make sure that, because it's an active incident investigation that's going on, and we should not. I want to make sure that the technical team is aware of that. They are not going to start shutting down the servers or whatever. They are just going to shut down maybe the displays or unplug the network, making sure that there is no command and control going on, and then data exfiltration access to our environment. So that's, again, I want to make sure the team knows about that.
All right, Alex and Shrey, take us to the conclusion. We need to declare this as an incident or not. Where are we at right now? And we'll go from there.
It has been declared, and this is not a single team doing a single task. We have to divide and conquer. From the technical team, we are starting to do some investigations on a few theories, seeing all digital signage being impacted in PA systems. We're getting confirmation that pretty much every station has reported in saying that they've seen that. So we now have to follow some theories. Is it that these endpoints all were impacted at the same time, which could just be a worm that has moved through the network and attacked those specific devices because of a potential vulnerability? But we also have to think, well, what's the common denominator with this system? If all these endpoints are affected, is there a central compromise rather? So we're going to be investigating both sides. One challenge that I did mention before is we have pretty robust logging in the IT side, but the cloud and this new application has limited logging. They've really believed that the visibility at the perimeter, at the firewall, was sufficient, and I guess they didn't really like the complexities of adding security controls into containers, especially ephemeral ones that spin up and spin down quite quickly. So we are going to have some challenges, particularly meeting the forensic requirements that now legal is asking us to do, because those logs don't go anywhere that would be considered forensically sound or arguably resilient. These logs are on the operating system of the container, which may or may not exist by the time I finish this sentence. So we have to look at that and recognize some of the blind spots that we're going to run into.
That is brilliant. Did you just get a coffee? Where were you earlier, man? We needed that.
I think a lot has started to kick in at this point of time. Shrey, is there anything else you want to add before I bring us to a conclusion?
No, not at the moment. We are just investigating. I'm just going to add one last point about the logging system and the auth sessions. That's going to be the priorities at the moment. I'll shortly post an update for the same.
Thank you very much, Shrey. With that said, a lot of things are going on here, but thank you, Incident Commander. We have now declared that there is an incident that is unfolding. What this looks like, how is it transpiring, what is happening is to be determined in the next module. But what I can tell all of you at the table is that at this point, we're not just seeing stories floating around, potentially some fake news as well. We're starting to get reports of folks that are commenting on socials because they've missed their trains, they've missed important sessions. There's a lot of emotions riding on this, and we are noticing a large amount of crowds building up at multiple stations. With that said, I want to thank both Hashim and Amar, our industry experts, for stepping in. I want to thank all of our advisors for playing a critical role here at STS in seeing us through with Module 1. Looking is not just, or rather, analysis is not just looking, it's also trying to notice the trends and patterns. And in approximately 30 minutes, when we go into the next module on containment, we will start to analyze the logs in depth and start to understand what is unfolding. With that, thank you all very much, and we'll see you in approximately 30 minutes for Module 2.
elevator!
Oh, strong move. If this elevator worked like Darktrace AI, you'd still be out in the lobby.
Sorry, he's always like this.
You see, Darktrace shuts the door on cyber threats.
Credential theft, insider attacks, phishing scams.
Well, what do you think of that then, Gerald? If that is your name, of course.
Easy. He's not a threat. He's simply a metaphor.
Thank you.
Welcome to the era of AI cybersecurity. Defend Beyond with Darktrace.
The goal is to eliminate security threats as they appear in customer or clients' environments. RSM Defense is a suite of managed security products, everything from identity to full detect and respond capabilities, assessments, and compliance activities. Our job is to keep you out of the news.
It's giving you a single picture and view into your risk posture, and you're able to make quick decisions and allocate limited resources to the areas of highest risk.
Our clients really do appreciate having a single point of contact. They know who to contact. We really want to be an extended arm of your team. We work with our clients to build that service and customize it to your business needs.
We're in there learning your organization, we're in there learning your processes, and we're helping augment your team and allow them to focus on more of the business operations side, while our teams handle the day-to-day activities.
Our first line of defense is to help them identify what are the gaps, what are the assets that they have, and making sure that they have a clear picture of what's going on. We provide services 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
And they know that we are going to connect them with the right people.
It's about prioritizing the threats that we look at and the order that we look at and the criticality, because at the end of the day, it's speed to response that's important.
Find someone that you feel comfortable working with on a day-to-day, someone you can trust, someone that you know will operate with you and grow with your organization, and that's what the RSM Defense team does.
In our rapidly evolving digital landscape, speed and efficiency are key to keeping ahead of security risks. Welcome to a new era of cyber resilience with cyber risk exposure management. Cyber risk exposure management isn't just a tool, it's your partner on your security journey, enabling you to reduce complexity, optimize compliance, and proactively protect your organization from threats and attacks. Try cyber risk exposure management free for 30 days. Sign up now.
Hold the elevator! Oh, a strong move. If this elevator worked like Darktrace AI, you'd still be out in the lobby.
Sorry, it's always like this.
You see, Darktrace shuts the door on cyber threats.
Credential theft, insider attacks, phishing scams.
Well, what do you think of that then, Gerald? If that is your name, of course.
Easy. He's not a threat. He's simply a metaphor.
Thank you.
Welcome to the era of AI cybersecurity. Defend Beyond with Darktrace.
The goal is to eliminate security threats as they appear in customer or clients' environments. RSM Defense is a suite of managed security products, everything from identity to full detect and respond capabilities, assessments, and compliance activities. Our job is to keep you out of the news.
It's giving you a single picture and view into your risk posture, and you're able to make quick decisions and allocate limited resources to the areas of highest risk.
Our clients really do appreciate having a single point of contact. They know who to contact. We really want to be an extended arm of your team. We work with our clients to build that service and customize it to your business needs.
We're in there learning your organization, we're in there learning your processes, and we're helping augment your team and allow them to focus on more of the business operations side, while our teams handle the day-to-day activities.
Our first line of defense is to help them identify what are the gaps, what are the assets that they have, and making sure that they have a clear picture of what's going on. We provide services 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
And they know that we are going to connect them with the right people.
It's about prioritizing the threats that we look at and the order that we look at and the criticality, because at the end of the day, it's speed to response that's important.
Find someone that you feel comfortable working with on a day-to-day, someone you can trust, someone that you know will operate with you and grow with your organization, and that's what the RSM Defense team does.
In our rapidly evolving digital landscape, speed and efficiency are key to keeping ahead of security risks. Welcome to a new era of cyber resilience with cyber risk exposure management. Cyber risk exposure management isn't just a tool, it's your partner on your security journey, enabling you to reduce complexity, optimize compliance, and proactively protect your organization from threats and attacks. Try cyber risk exposure management free for 30 days. Sign up now.
Hold the elevator! Oh, strong move. If this elevator worked like Darktrace AI, you'd still be out in the lobby.
Sorry, he's always like this.
You see, Darktrace shuts the door on cyber threats.
Credential theft, insider attacks, phishing scams.
Well, what do you think of that then, Gerald? If that is your name, of course.
Easy. He's not a threat. He's simply a metaphor.
Thank you.
Welcome to the era of AI cybersecurity. Defend Beyond with Darktrace.
The goal is to eliminate security threats as they appear in customer or clients' environments. RSM Defense is a suite of managed security products, everything from identity to full detect and respond capabilities, assessments, and compliance activities. Our job is to keep you out of the news.
It's giving you a single picture and view into your risk posture, and you're able to make quick decisions and allocate limited resources to the areas of highest risk.
Our clients really do appreciate having a single point of contact. They know who to contact. We really want to be an extended arm of your team. We work with our clients to build that service and customize it to your business needs.
We're in there learning your organization, we're in there learning your processes, and we're helping augment your team and allow them to focus on more of the business operations side while our teams handle the day-to-day activities.
Our first line of defense is to help them identify what are the gaps, what are the assets that they have, and making sure that they have a clear picture of what's going on. We provide services 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
And they know that we are going to connect them with the right people.
It's about prioritizing the threats that we look at and the order that we look at and the criticality, because at the end of the day, it's speed to response that's important.
Find someone that you feel comfortable working with on a day-to-day, someone you can trust, someone that you know will operate with you and grow with your organization, and that's what the RSM Defense team does.
our rapidly evolving digital landscape, speed and efficiency are key to keeping ahead of security risks. Welcome to a new era of cyber resilience with cyber risk exposure management. Cyber risk exposure management isn't just a tool, it's your partner on your security journey, enabling you to reduce complexity, optimize compliance, and proactively protect your organization from threats and attacks. Try cyber risk exposure management free for 30 days. Sign up now.
Hold the elevator! Oh, strong move. If this elevator worked like Darktrace AI, you'd still be out in the lobby.
Sorry, he's always like this.
You see, Darktrace shuts the door on cyber threats.
Credential theft, insider attacks, phishing scams.
Well, what do you think of that then, Gerald? If that is your name, of course.
Easy. He's not a threat. He's simply a metaphor.
Thank you.
Welcome to the era of AI cybersecurity. Defend Beyond with Darktrace.
is to eliminate security threats as they appear in customer or clients' environments. RSM Defense is a suite of managed security products, everything from identity to full detect and respond capabilities.
Thank you, everybody, and welcome to Module 2 of what has now been declared as an incident, a cyber incident, at siberX Transit Systems. My name is Ali, and I will continue to be your moderator and chair for the remainder of the next 3 to 4 modules, rather 3 modules, and then, of course, the lessons learned. For those of you that are just joining us, both in person and online, thank you so much for being here. A quick recap will be provided very shortly, and I will turn it over to my co-chair, Alex, to provide a recap of where we're at before we move ahead. But just as a very, very quick reminder, everyone is currently participating in a fictitious scenario. To my right, I have an industry expert now joining us from Darktrace. We have Rob, who is going to be assisting us based on where we're at. And then to my left and my right, we have a number of advisors who are playing different roles. For your interest, I'll just read out their names and tell you what their roles will be. Danush will be our cyber threat analyst. Shilpa will be stepping in for Chris as a law enforcement rep. Shaquille is our public safety coordinator, and he has a lot on his plate coming his way. And he'll probably be collaborating very closely with Jussie, who has just stepped in as well as the response coordinator. Vivek remains his vivacious, angry self as the board member, close to retirement, but he's back to fire away at the SOC that is still here. We have Alex as our chaos engineer. You have myself. You have Shrey leading up the SOC. We have James, who's going to be our data integrity lead. And I think there were a lot of questions that were asked in the previous session that might come up here as well. So hopefully you were paying attention. And we have Edgard, who is our deepfake content analyst, a new role that we have brought in as an advisor into this scenario, given the kind of images that we saw circulating on socials. And then, of course, Rob from Darktrace. With that, very quickly, welcome to the Module 2 on containment. If you don't contain the impact will contain you. And we're at that moment right now. Alex, if I can ask you to unmute and very briefly, just give an update to folks on where are we at right now and what's going on.
Thank you, Ali. So in Module 1 is detection analysis. So in any incident, we need to know that something's happening and trying to understand that scope. And unlike other scenarios we've dealt with, this one was pretty obvious. We had a threatening message on digital signage, on a digital PA system, and that was meant to demonstrate that that something at siberX transit system is compromised and put some fear into ridership. Now we did struggle, right? Like, well, what is actually impacted? And we ended up having to reach out to the stations manually to validate is what we're seeing on some of the stations happening at all the stations. We did try to do some further analysis and hunting across the environment to see if there are other indicators of compromise. And so far, not really. We speculate, are the endpoints, the digital screens themselves compromised? Or is potentially our new digital backend that talks to the signs, but also talks to various other business systems and external partners? So that's what we're doing now. Now, in Module 2, which is all about containment. So this is really about weighing the impact of one containment action over another. Certainly, we need to keep the trains running. We need to keep moving people. That is our job. And making sure revenue is not impacted or reduce the impact of it. And while we're doing that, we're also going to make sure that we are communicating both internally and externally, and trying to attempt to understand further the root cause while we start trying to reduce the blast radius any further. Over to you, Ali.
Thank you very much. All I heard is containment is the art of saying no at scale. So we'll sort of see where all of this goes. I know Shrey and Alex, you have a lot of information that you'll be sharing very shortly. But at this point, I think, and I'm getting an alert from our media team that our friendly reporter at ODTN News has some more updates to share with us. So I'm going to draw your attention to the latest update from the media. Go ahead.
This is Roshan Khan with ODTN News. Continuing our coverage of the escalating siberX transit system crisis, just hours after the takeover loading alert sparked panic across Toronto, commuters brave enough to trust the city and get on the trains and buses are now facing a new wave of chaos. The STS mobile app is showing trains arriving now, while scarce working schedule screens report those same trains as delayed or cancelled. That mismatch has thrown transit traffic control into disarray. Controllers no longer know which data to trust, and the entire scheduling system is falling apart. With trains stalled and information unreliable, thousands are scrambling for alternatives. Uber and rideshare prices have surged to nearly 10 times their usual rates, leading to fights breaking out at pickup zones as desperate commuters try to get to work. Police have been deployed to multiple hotspots to manage disturbances. The impact on the roads is immediate and severe. With so many people abandoning the transit system, highways and downtown routes have collapsed into gridlock. Intersections across the city are backed up, emergency vehicles are struggling to move, and officers are now directing traffic in several overwhelmed corridors. Critical services are feeling the strain. Hospitals report delayed nursing shifts and overloaded departments. Schools and universities have missed exams and classes. Businesses from logistic hubs to retail centers are facing major staffing shortages as the morning rush becomes a standstill. And online, the confusion is only growing. False updates, fabricated warnings, and misleading insider info are circulating widely, adding another layer of uncertainty to an already volatile situation. Toronto is now fighting a transportation system in freefall with no clear timeline for stabilization. I'm Roshan Khan. ODTN News will continue following this developing crisis as it unfolds.
Just if I can bring you into this conversation right now. I mean, if you don't detect the moment of all of these things that are happening, you'll definitely detect the fallout. We're seeing a massive amount of events and unpleasant activities happening at a variety of different stations. You have come in as our response coordinator alongside Shakil, who's our public safety coordinator. Any perspective on, as a response coordinator, what do we need to be doing next?
I think we need to be first, thinking about the safety of the public, employees, and making sure that we're communicating to them in a right manner. As a response coordinator, I think one of the things we need to do is activate our BCP. We know that our existing communication channels have been compromised. That's really not the way for us to communicate with public or our employees. It's actually activating what our BCP plan communication processes and working with the team to start that process immediately. And we're looking into that right now. I'll be reaching out to Shakil and trying to coordinate that with him immediately.
Thank you very much. If I can just take a moment before Shakil, I come to you, is for those that are watching online, you'll see that courtesy of one of our sponsors, Immersive Labs, we've shared the code to an environment where you can practice this particular scenario as well. For those that are here in person, if you reach out to the siberX AV team during the breaks, they will also give you that code. What's interesting that I'm seeing right now also online is the reactions that folks have had even to the video. And one of the notes is, and this is an interesting one and definitely puts Roshan on the spot, saying the traffic seems fine behind Roshan. Maybe this is a deep fake news broadcast. But I will also add that somebody did come to your rescue, Roshan, saying, actually, Roshan means light illuminator or a beacon. So let's not cast her with the deep fake news element. But Edgar, that might be something for you to analyze. Anyways, back to the scenario. Shakil, based on what Jassi just said, anything that you want to add before we turn it over for some words from Rob and then onwards to the SOC?
Sure, thank you very much. So first thing first, we have already seen that police have been deployed as well. Like we are getting support from the local authorities as well. And we are deploying our own resources as well to manage the situation. Yes, it is creating a lot of chaos and discomfort for the public, and we are trying to address it. As part of the BCP, this was part of the BCP only, like activating employing the local agencies and getting support from them. We are also trying to ramp up our own resources as well so that we can provide assistance to the people who need accessibility. That is obviously priority as well. So we are doing things, but obviously not at the pace we anticipated.
Thank you very much. I will come back to you with more questions and concerns. Rob, there's a question for you and also for James. James, I'll start off with you and bring this question to your attention. And SOC team, you can signal to me when you're ready with your updates. James, this question, and since you've stepped into the role of data integrity lead, the question is, I'll read it verbatim. If data integrity, not downtime, is what truly collapses a city, what future-focused question must leaders ask to ensure their systems don't just recover functionality, but recover itself? And I would extend that, given the next modules on recovery, I would just add, from a containment perspective, how would you respond to this question?
I think where it really comes down to is the understanding of having a fulsome view of your data. And I think really what that comes back to is that with that data, that you're maintaining a fulsome view, not just of where it exists right now, what systems it's integrating with, but also the logging of that. And so I think that's absolutely critical. I think that always allows you to paint a picture to build back stronger and better. So I think that's initially where I would stand there.
Fair enough. Thank you very much, James. Rob, if I can turn to you, you've just stepped into this scenario. Thank you, Darktrace, for your support. Based on what you've heard so far, we're going to be going to the SOC team very shortly. Are there any specific things or logs you would like to see in this scenario?
Yeah, for sure. I definitely want to see any specific logs you might have on. I think Alex, that you mentioned, we have the endpoint logs, or at least maybe even the back end systems that communicate to the endpoints and the screens. Can't never underestimate the server logs as well, but also any sort of traffic privileged access that we might have seen. We may want to look at the logs of anything that's been updated or changed. So definitely the more analysis or logs that we can investigate, the better for us.
Fair enough. Shreya, I believe that on your side, you are pretty much ready to go. Before I go to you, public safety team, that's Shakil and Jassi, I will let you know, we've had a few questions. I think George online is asking around miscommunications and public broadcasts that we need to be issuing. So please keep that in mind. No messaging has gone out to the public yet. But with that said, thank you, Dark Race, again for your involvement there. Captain Shrey, this is the moment that I think a lot of us have been waiting for. I will unmute and turn it over to you, buddy.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ali. What you're seeing on screen right now is a snapshot from the STS operations log. We're looking at an operations dashboard at the moment. At first glance, most of these entries, they look normal. The trains are reported on time, departures confirmed, system status are green. But as we scan down a little bit more and more, there are subtle irregularities which we'll start looking at right here at this point. Now, SOC team is working with operations team and collecting these logs, making sure that we are able to have a broader picture in head. But the trains over here listed as being at Eglinton, yet its GPS places it's several hundred meters away. Another train is departing Bloor Young, even though the operator reports no such movement. At St. George, once again, the internal system flags a delay, while public announcement feeds insist everything is running on time. None of these dramatic failures, obviously, but together they signal that there are two different realities which are being emerged at the moment. Things are not adding up, so I asked my team personally to put together another visual which keeps things much in check, which looks like this at the moment. The discrepancy, the telemetries and all of that. This is a linear map of the northbound transit line. It shows differences between actual telemetry and what the PA system is telling the public. We had warning signs, we had warning signals and all of them, but here's the proof that now the information is becoming misinformation in a way. The train you see highlighted is physically south of Lawrence.
Wait, Shrey, I need to understand this. Can you say that line again?
Which ones? I spoke many lines.
The one 5 seconds ago where you said that this is delivering misinformation as well? Let me put you on the spot. Are you telling me your logs are tampered after telling me previously that your IT and OT systems are completely segregated?
Well, there are two ways to look at it. One is log tampering, where something is saved and then being manipulated. Another is things which is being received by this unified system itself is tampered with. So technically, the IT systems internally, they are not being tampered, but what it is being listening to, that's just not real. It's not actual. You can see on screen right now. The telemetry data suggests it is 350 meters south of Lawrence, right over here. Whereas on the other hand, the opposite sides of the PA system feed, it says it is at Shepherd Young. Now 350 meters, I know it's not much of a difference, but imagine this on a volume scale. That is giving me wrong signs at the moment.
Vivek, can I bring you into this situation? I'll channel my anger through you. You were brought onto this board because of your awareness also from a security perspective. You may know a thing or two. Are we hearing this correct? That first, our systems, in terms of our announcement systems, were displaying some interesting messaging, to put it mildly. Now am I hearing that the systems and the logs are all reflecting the wrong arrival times for trains? I mean, what are you reading into this?
Ollie, I think this is, now that we've declared the incident and, we're moving into a containment phase, we've done inadequate communication to the public, so that's the first thing I want to flag. But I think as we start to try to contain it, we're realizing we can't rely on our systems. We can't trust our systems themselves, our logs themselves. So we need to understand who's behind this? What's their motive? How did they get in? So that we can actually start to figure out what we shut down, what we keep up. And I think what's vital right now is clearly somebody is looking to disrupt us. Someone is looking to sow seeds of mistrust. And we see that as evidence in the communications that's going on, the scheduling mishap that's going on. We've already established reasonably high confidence someone is on the inside with the messages that we saw. So, as we start to understand and narrow down the threat actor groups and we should be looking at, how do we now separate the environments, move everything into a red zone, and start to figure out what comes into green, what do we rebuild, what do we reconfigure and validate. And I think we're going to have to bring a small army in because this team's not moving fast enough on that. I think the other point that's super important, and Jesse can take over, is the safety element is not getting enough attention. I think law enforcement is one piece of that, but I think we're a public service and we're moving people not only to work, but to healthcare treatments, healthcare workers, firefighter workers, banking workers. We need to address that. And I haven't heard enough about what we're doing to support the movement of those people through other contingency plans.
Okay, Jesse and Shaquille, I will bring you back into this, but Alex, I think you wanted to add something from what Shrey was saying, and let me be clear, Vivek, if you can mute yourself, please. Alex, you know what, I'll hold on my statement. Why don't you go ahead, buddy?
Thank you. And, I do want to reflect what Vivek called out, that really understanding goals and intent. This is still a theoretical consideration, but it does help because it helps us understand the motive, and that could lead to understanding their TTPs or techniques, tactics, and procedures. So, having an understanding of that allows us to potentially narrow down where we're looking. Now, what we've just realized is that it isn't just the signage and the PA systems that are affected, but now an application that takes all the real-time data from the control system network and then provides that data both for internal use for understanding system capacity, bottlenecks, but also communicates it externally to Google Maps, the municipality, and other consumers of that data. And now it's in question. I wouldn't call it disinformation at this point. There's a lot of opportunity for applications to fall out of sync with each other, and thus those data points can fail. But it is also a thread that we need to start pulling on. So we'll start looking at that application, how it's working, and whatnot. Now, to address Darktrace brought up a really good question of what would be the logs that would be really relevant for us continuing to understand our scope, trying to understand root cause, and come up with a containment plan. The IT side of STS is quite robust. We've got Darktrace. It is a great tool that's helping us with a lot of visibility. The new application, which is hosted not in our data center but in the cloud, has less visibility. But that said, I did want to ask Darktrace, with the lack of logs streaming out of that environment, we do have some sensors that are picking up packet captures. What do you think we could see in that data?
Go ahead. So from those packet captures, we can definitely be able to ingest those and be able to see where any specific malicious actor is coming from. Using our machine learning and AI, we'd be able to detect where they got in, what time, what specifically they were able to access, and be able to stop the threat in real time. So what we'd be able to get back to you on the log specifically is just an indication of where we see something has been anomalous based on the information that we're seeing in the logs themselves.
One thing I would like to ask Rob, from the Darktrace perspective, is there anything extra that we can do over here from the SOC team that can potentially lead us to better and easier containment, at least a faster containment from Vivek's recommendation?
Yeah, I mean, based on what Alex mentioned, you said you were deployed but however, not it's in terms of like on the OT side. So we would definitely want to extend our capabilities on the OT front. It seems to me like we're not getting into the endpoints and that there's a miscommunication between IT and OT from that perspective. So from our expertise, we'd want to extend our coverage across the OT environments themselves and be able to then secure your entire environment, both from the IT and OT perspective. And that would include deploying vSensors across your locations to be able to ensure that you're captured across all locations specific.
Rob, I appreciate that. Shrey, there's a few requests online, so there's been a lot of conversations. In 30 seconds, Shrey, based on what the audience is seeing on your screen, can you again summarize what is your understanding from the logs at this point?
Absolutely. This is not a simple display glitch that we're looking at. The takeover on all of those keywords that we saw, this information, misinformation in a way that we are looking at. Both systems pulling from what should be the same unified communications platform, they in fact are diverging. They are telling us a different story. At the end of the day, we are receiving two different data points, two different variations of the same entity, and at the end of the day, things are still not clear. From a SOC perspective, I'll share more updates as we look into more session-based investigations, and I'll keep posted.
Fair enough. Thank you very much.
Okay,
Shrey.
jumping in.
Yeah,
quick.
please.
Sorry. We need to do more in parallel, folks. This feels like a serial exercise, and the log analysis may or may not yield fruit, and it's going to run in parallel. Mr. SOC, Mr. IT, can we get a list of systems impacted? And can we get your opinion on what we could shut down, disable, or disconnect if we need to? I think we can at least with reasonable confidence say the display systems used and the scheduling system used are potentially untrusted. So let's draw a circle around them, move them into the red zone VLAN, and continue the hunt. Otherwise, we're never going to contain this. It's already afternoon. This has been running all day, and we haven't taken one step in containment.
Okay. Thank you for that, Vivek. Dhanush, last I checked, you had the title Cyber Threat Analyst. You've been quiet. I'm not looking for somebody to blame. I'm looking for the root cause. Maybe the root cause is address, even better. Dhanush, your thoughts on what you've seen so far?
Good morning. Yeah, that's a great question. I think when it comes to containment, we need to take a prioritized approach based on ridership risk and risk to the rest of our IT infrastructure, right? So one of the main things I'd need is guidance from leadership, especially from Vivek, so that I don't get yelled at. While we get that guidance in terms of what we need to prioritize, I do have two working theories, right? So if you look at the microservices stack that initially where the PA system and all those services are essentially functioning off of, there were two things that really stuck out to me, right? So it's microservices. So that means likely containerized platforms, as I recall. We have two possible vectors there, right? So one is the possibility of an exploitation of a vulnerability within that stack, so within that code base, within the images that are used, or the second could be that it's actually a compromised code base. Thinking back to some of the previous reports that happened, in other areas where similar things were displayed in the past. We have a chance that if we are using open source libraries, there was a CI/CD pipeline drawn there, with the repository. If it's a trusted or untrusted repository, either way, it could use open source, and it could have a compromised library. So that's an angle I think we need to investigate. The lack of visibility into that environment, lack of tools, is going to be challenging. So it's got to be manual. The second thing I would say is we need to look at APIs. APIs have a point of, are known to have weaknesses if they aren't properly secured. So that's another avenue we need to investigate. And the third, just to get some extra support, we have law enforcement. We've got cybercrime teams that can support us, especially with the previous incidents that have occurred in other sectors. Can we get some support from them to identify are there any threat intelligence related to this that can be shared, what was done at that time to contain those incidents. Any of that information will help us. We're a small team. We can take all the help we need. Thank you.
Okay, fair enough. Jussie, Shaquille, I need to bring your attention to this. I'll read out this question that has come up, and then I'll bring your attention to what you're seeing onto the screen. There'll be two things that, actually for now, I'll point out one thing, and if AV team, if you can keep my screen on now for the duration of the next little while. A note that has been placed online says if a takeover is ongoing, attackers could have complete control. If OT takeover is done by an inside job, could be a PLC. How secure are devices containing PLCs? There's a lot of questions right now, and this risk of an insider being involved, etc. Jussie, let's start off with you. As you're seeing now also in front of you and on the screen, siberX transit systems across the board are showing train arriving now on, this looks like it's come to me from the app. It's also come to me from other sources as well. 9:25 train arriving now, 9:45 Toronto, 9:45 Brampton, 10 o'clock Pickering, this super speed train that reaches Toronto, Brampton, Pickering in 15 minutes. Can't wait for it to be built. But at the same time, it says all trains delayed. And I'm going to draw your attention to something else now as well. This was just shared with me by some of our operators on the ground. I'm going to read this out verbatim. It's a conversation between two operators within two of our shuttle trains. Are you losing contact with Central? My console is showing conflicting updates. Same here. One says hold departures, another says resume eastbound flow. Which one is real? None of the supervisors are answering calls. Is command offline? I'm out at platform 3 and we've got hundreds piling up. We need guidance now. Do we freeze movements or start rerouting? I don't know, bro, but I'm not going to lie to you. I'm scared. Would call the wife if I were you in the meantime. Jussie, not only is the public at risk right now from overcrowding and, if I may dare say so, the potential of a kinetic-like attack, something physical with overcrowding is very high. Now, if I'm reading this right, both you and Shaquille, could the trains itself and the devices on which we move people also be at risk?
There is a big possibility at this point since we don't know. And just to add to that, we know the ridership is wrong and our safety is priority for us. So I think right now what we're trying to do is we're trying to understand what is happening at the ground level. Shaquille and I are working very closely with our officers on site, and we do have, as I said, we have a back-end communication plan with some of our key stakeholders at each of the locations. We're communicating back and forth with them to make sure that they have the right set of information. Right now, we've asked everyone to hold and not to operate the trains at this stage. We're waiting to get more information from IT in terms of is the information that's being displayed is correct, or the information that the riders, the operators are getting is correct. So we need some information from our IT team to determine that, to move to the next step, because right now we're concerned with what is happening at the ground level.
Shaquille, I know our motto here is control, communicate, and conquer, but at this point it's the complete opposite. Any perspective from your side?
One thing that we need to decide on right now is whether we should be shutting down our PA systems or not, because it is creating, obviously it is giving misinformation as well, and it is creating more chaos. So we need to decide whether we should be bringing down the system, because as Vivek has already highlighted as well, it's afternoon already, and we have been just trying to hunt the source of it. So if we don't know, let's shut down the system. At least we are not creating more misinformation.
Okay, if I can ask you to mute. Edgar, we fought really hard to get monies for your fancy role to be involved with us, deep fake content analyst, but it seems like we really need your support here, my friend. A couple of questions is, we're seeing news reports, and I can tell you this, is that we're seeing news reports where people are being told all trains are down. We're seeing fake news reports go out there as well. I'm now being questioned is that this screenshot that was sent to me, is this even real? In the midst of all of this, with your expertise in deepfake content analysis, anything you can guide us with at this point?
Yeah, thank you. Let me start by saying, and I know we talked about disinformation, and just to ensure that we're aligned.
Sure.
So misinformation is basically false, deliberately misled, or that is used to mislead or deceit, and in this case, the public. So it looks like this campaign is sort of a disinformation weaponization. So synthetic, when it comes to AI, synthetic media is content created or altered by AI to look and sound real. So what you're seeing in the news and what we're seeing from this possible adversary is that they're using deep fake or clone voices to impersonate perhaps officials and to mislead. So what we're currently doing is identifying those type of sources of information. We are using different tools to analyze the data, validating by ensuring that we run it through this different content and possibly remove it, but at the same time, sharing that information with Jessie so she can coordinate and use that information so she can work with the different teams, such as the public safety with Shaquille and the National Public Alert System. And I think this is important to communicate to the public, just like when you get the alerts on your phone, that this is coming from a trusted source. But in the meantime, what we're doing is validating. Our defense is basically to authenticate every official message that we're seeing on the internet with digital signatures and watermarks, just to ensure that the public is safe. But this is complex, but we're still going and reviewing the information.
Okay, yes, Jesse, go ahead, and then I have to go to Shilpa because we need law enforcement to chime in. Go ahead.
That's exactly what my point was, that we're going to be working very closely with Legal Next to draft an announcement that needs to be publicly available for users to know what is happening, what we're doing, and what the next steps are as well.
Thank you. Shilpa, law enforcement, our dear friends, please.
I think at this point, we're already integrated into the incident command structure, and we've been working behind the scenes with obviously Jesse and Shaquille to take care of some of the actions. Priorities from a law enforcement perspective right now are to protect, obviously public safety, but then also preserve evidence. I think that's really, really important. The other focus is to de-escalate and not have any further escalation, and then start supporting them in the lawful containment activities that they could take, and then start coordinating on investigative readiness. I think Shaquille mentioned some time back that a suggestion that maybe we should start figuring out. One of the requests from somebody here was, have we figured out what systems can we isolate, right? Whether it's the PA system. I think we're seeing some real-time train tracking issues as well. Have we thought about isolating some of these systems? If we do, as a law enforcement representative working with Jesse and Shaquille, I want to look at and support them. What are the risks that are going to increase due to these containment activities? Are we going to see a lot of platform crowding, stampedes, if we take some of these systems offline? So that's where I would be working with them to make sure we have the correct officers deployed, along with some of the legal and compliance activities that are needed. And then at what point do we start determining, I think I need a little bit more information from the incident command team here to guide me, to support them, to tell them this is now a threshold for a criminal investigation. I think that support is available, but I'm looking for more guidance on to see if they have been able to see unauthorized access, system manipulation. We've already seen false emergency messages. I think that things are piling up. We may be able to, start a criminal investigation, but there's a lot of guidance available here from a law enforcement perspective. So we are ready with that. And then if they've seen anything with respect to an insider threat or not, I think we should start exploring these angles now, so that we start getting ready to obviously protect the organization legally, but also provide them the support from an overall public safety and law enforcement perspective. That would be my guidance here.
All right, Vivek, please chime in.
Have we reached out across sector to understand if anyone else is impacted and what they're seeing and what they're doing. So we should be already have established good connections with Canadian Centre for Cybersecurity, with CCTX, with the transportation sector, ISAC, and we should be asking who else is impacted, if anyone. Are they seeing the same IOCs? And understand more about this threat. It may not just be us.
Okay, thank you for that, Vivek. I need to add another note over here, which, again, courtesy ODTN.news has come to me, and why this was not flagged in the earlier conversations will remain a mystery to me. Approximately a week ago, we had another situation, Alex, where riders had reported sudden zero balances. So we had released a statement saying we were fixing this. There's, we'll get the accurate balance up, and then we restored it, and nobody raised this in the earlier module as well. Alex, this doesn't seem like a coincidence.
Well, a few weeks ago, we really just thought it was a data sync issue. So we just restored from backups. We do backup quite frequently. The member account number balances and whatnot. So we did restore that. There was a little bit of financial loss because of what we backed up versus what the reality was. But now, with seeing some of the other anomalies happening, we are digging into it deeper. Working with DevOps, we are exploring what we can do for containment. There are some recommendations. We can look at turning off some microservices. They're just warning that some microservices rely on other microservices, and we have to understand that could actually cause a cascading failure. Secondly, are we comfortable turning off our only means with the digital signs at least, communicating with our ridership? And if that doesn't work, what else will we shut down, and what do we lose every time we start shutting something down and containing it? One thing that has been brought up is, well, let's switch to manual controls. And I think that is something that we do have in our BCP. My only concern is that BCP, I'm looking at it right now, and it hasn't been updated in 6 years. This system's only been online for 6 months. So there's probably a little bit of a gap in reality versus what's written down. So do we have the staff to actually operate things in a manual state? And that goes from everything from communicating at the stations with, no longer having signage, no longer being able to share train schedules at a minimum, but also what we would like our ridership to do, including if there is a need, how do we communicate to evacuate and where to evacuate? So we have to make sure that we do have the staff for that. Same thing with PAs. Do we have enough people in station with megaphones to be able to effectively communicate to our ridership and maintain safety primarily of people in station?
Okay, fair enough. And to the folks that are watching online, I am seeing some conversations that are moving very swiftly towards eradication right now. Do remember is that we're trying to contain and understand the scope of this incident to determine what do we need to potentially switch to a manual override, what do we need to shut down. We're still getting to that point. Point be noted, this attacker probably is in our environment or has been there for a very long period of time, but we're trying to get to the bottom of that. We see lots of conversations online. And yes, it looks like there are multiple goals that are being discussed online as well. I see Moses, we have folks who have joined in from Colombia as well, sharing a lot of different ideas. Keep them coming. To the audience that's here as well, if you have any questions or thoughts, feel free to raise your hand, and if I can see you, I will gladly loop you into the conversation. James, from a data perspective, I think you had something to share. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think we've been and rightly still been focusing on public safety, and I think that should continue to be the focus. But as we look through these, and we're starting to see these anomalies over previous weeks, What we need to also be considering is looking back, how do we take our data and we classified it? We had this new system, as you said, for 6 months, not more than that. So hopefully we're looking back at our architecture and understanding what types of data we have and where, because we're coming back then to those requirements to be able to work with our partners, work with compliance, work with regulatory. As I'm looking at it right now, I'm looking at the municipal acts. There's also potential health acts that we're looking at. If there's any mobility on request, passenger assistance, or paratransit capacities that we do run, as well as looking at payment card industry now, I would say is all related. So we're all having to take this and use this as a support role to further the investigations, understand the scope, and also understand what's our reporting requirements as we move forward, just beyond just strictly public safety.
Thank you. Shilpa, there's a question that came to me directly, and I was hesitating to bring up this word, but I will right now. There's a lot of conversation happening online that, why is this happening? What's going on? What's the root cause? And again, I'm not prepared to right now go down that path of attribution, but questions come to me twice. I'm going to ask you, is there a case here of potential domestic kinetic terrorism that could be at play here, where someone's trying to gather people into a certain environment and cause something much more larger?
I mean, we've certainly seen that in the past, and we certainly cannot rule that out. That is why we have to figure out some of whether it's an insider threat, whether there was an unauthorized access to the system. I think we are at a stage now, if we get a little bit of more analysis, whether it's through our extended partners, Canadian Centre for Cybersecurity. I think they should be coming and helping us with more threat analysis here to figure out if there is a cause for a criminal investigation. We would certainly be looking to initiate that. Like I said, we can't rule it out. People's sentiments should not be ignored. It's not like this has never happened before. This is how most of these events get triggered.
All right. On that really dangerous note, I'm going to turn it over back to the SOC team, and we can have your
quick
screen.
question.
Oh, sorry, Vivek, go ahead.
As you're going to the SOC, I just add to the questions. We need clear decision criteria that would help us decide, do we shut down the displays? I'm concerned from a public image, brand, and safety perspective. If the system's compromised and the messages are being controlled by the threat actor, what would they put up that could put our customers in harm's way? So what is the threshold at which we turn them off?
Alex, can I ask you, and I know that you've been mentioning this a few times, but Alex, I just want to bring you very quickly here before we go to Shrey. Can you remind us again, what are the impacted systems?
It's a living list. We are currently able to confirm that digital signs are impacted. And again, these are screens at stations, on trains, on buses, that are just generally displaying schedules and advertisements. I think that's also something we need to consider, that actually will impact our revenue if we do shut down those screens and potentially put us in a contract liability with our advertisers. Second is the PA system. Again, a system that sits at every station and takes text and will then read it out in various languages. We did see a suspicious email go to our ridership. We are investigating to see if that was spoofed or if that did come from our email systems. And now we're also hearing that the mobile app is displaying erroneous information. Now the challenge there is the app the problem, or is it the data feed that the app is relying on? As mentioned previously with our application architecture, all of these systems have one or more microservices supporting them. There are likely interdependencies that we would have to start reviewing with the DevOps teams to understand those impacts. Now, one common denominator with them all is that they use a message bus to share data in between microservices as well as to the consumers, which would be mobile devices and whatnot. So we are looking into that. as mentioned, we have a bit of limited visibility into these environments, mainly because there weren't a lot of great solutions out there to support the environment that we're working on, and the ones that were out there were too expensive and added too much complexity for our project's timeline. And the Chief Transformation Officer said that we would do security tomorrow.
Yeah, and I can tell you that now this is escalating because finance is also starting to reach out. You know how we always used to say no systems are down until finance notices. Well, finance has started noticing, and these financial anomalies also are starting to become something that they're pointing to. There's a lot going on here. Shrey, I think you had a question for Darktrace, and then your screen is up. Please give us some more information. We have about 14 minutes to go, and I need a clear containment pathway now.
Absolutely, Ari. I'm coming with some proof right now throughout the discussion. API activities was one of the biggest point which couple of panelists have brought up. Here we are looking at the API activities throughout the STS communications platform, and this is typically where I can definitely say that story becomes unmistakable. These logs show multiple services behaving in ways they were never designed to do. I would love Darktrace's perspective as well on this one, since this becomes more technical and towards focusing on the AI sides that may uncover some information which current lack of resources at the SOC team may benefit from. The SVC message sync, typically speaking, normally a very low volume synchronization service is hitting the message template almost 900 times right now, which is abnormally high. This is not routine syncs that I look at. The message test, leftover syncing accounts, even the temp admin 02, these accounts should not exist in production at all. I don't even know how they went in. This is pulling sensitive telemetries, attempting to delete the logs, pushing config changes. These are assumptions right now, but they are slowly and steadily being solidified. These APIs have been receiving status 200. We are confirming with the DevOps team and the SecDevOps as well that whether these are confirmed actions or these are still fake logs in a way or misconfigured logs in possible directions. We do see and notice cloud backup service exfiltrating large volumes of data as well under the guise of routine backups. Next steps for the SOC team is to validate whether these are via API tokens or sessions or auth sessions or admin accounts. How is it even happening? That's the direction we're taking in at the moment. At this point, the logs can confirm that the system is not malfunctioning. It is being steered into a different direction.
Yeah, Rob, your thoughts? I did say, our friends at SOC stand for snacks, orders, and chaos. So they've definitely delivered on a lot for you to snack on. Your thoughts?
Well, looking at these logs, it looks like, and judging by what the threat actor has, assuming it's a threat actor or insider threat has taken over here with terms of digital science PA systems and potential compromise of email, looks to me like we need to contain or at least block any suspicious activities. But my understanding, or at least looking at this, looking at the logs specifically, tends to lean me towards a potential insider threat, in which case we need to look at how we could block or at least remove any privileged access from the different environments. Seems to me like, we could, with Darktrace, we could understand where that came from, or at least, which specific, threat actor, which specific connection caused the additional connections to then infiltrate, and where this FTP service is, and we could definitely block that suspicious activity.
Alex?
We're still looking at the logs. Certainly there are some suspicious activities happening at the API level, and that's actually where we have some visibility, but where we don't, or where we have to pull this visibility up manually, is from API into the microservices and interacting with the message bus. So we're going to be doing that on a more manual basis. So as of right now, we're trying to understand, are there any commonalities between the services that we're seeing that are affected? And we are seeing, again, some suspicious API activities, but nothing that narrows down one user, one API key, one service account just yet.
Alex, if I can jump in.
Please.
Earlier, you gave us a long list of applications impacted, but you did not give us any recommendation on what we can shut down. I'm sure you have a list of minimum viable services that must be maintained, but we also have a vector, our displays, our PA systems, which are right now in untrusted hands. I think we've established they're not malfunctioning, but there is an intruder with access. So while you're working on that in parallel, could we have your recommendation on what systems we should isolate and shut down? Because those could just compound our problems if we don't make a decision on those quickly.
I think Jussie wants to hop on the Vivek train as well. Jussie, go ahead.
Yes, I just want to add to that, Alex. We've confirmed with legal and our partners as well that we do advertisement for. They're okay with us shutting it down, given that we're not giving the customer wrong information. So we have a confirmation on that. So if that gives us a little bit more comfort in terms of shutting down our display systems, just wanted to make sure we are able to communicate that back to the team.
Alex, I'm going to hop on this as well. There's more questions that are coming in online. And again, I'll summarize them as best as I can. And again, if anybody has anything here, please just shout it out or raise your hand. I'll summarize these questions or the conversations that are happening. And I think these are really valid in the sense that they're asking, shouldn't the OT and IT systems have been air-gapped? Is there a potential exploit towards the DMZ area that you might have had? This seems very much like signaling and track circuits and the conversation that we saw on WhatsApp. These should be separate systems, but it seems like it's not. And this attacker, an intruder, is not just controlling our PA systems, is potentially controlling others as well. Can we have some clarity that what Vivek said is perhaps half the picture and that this intruder is in other systems as well?
A couple of years ago, we were really frustrated by some very old technology that kept on falling over and causing system interruptions. So we hired a transformation officer who brought in the cloud, applications, and now AI. So what that has resulted in is a very powerful next generation system that we have rolled out. It is a unified architecture. It is built on top of the cloud and really was to standardize how we standardize our data and make sure that every application has the same data, has access to the same data. Now back to the question of containment. I think we reached out to Dev and said, like, hey, what things can we turn off? They said they never designed the system to turn off incremental microservices, so they're actually not sure what will happen there. But at the end of the day, we can provide technical recommendations, of what we think we should turn off, but that's actually a business decision, not the security operations team. And I also have to push back. The SOC is saturated right now trying to, validate certain theses of what we believe is impacting, and getting us hammered by questions is really distracting us from getting any progress with, clarifying what the root cause is.
Vivek, I'll tell you one thing, pretending the SOC is not in the room here. One of the things we discussed in our board meeting is that this SOC and IT team, the only thing they patch right away are their excuses. And I'm hearing all this, we're saturated, we're this and we're that. I hear that every time. Vancouver, Toronto, Calgary, you name it. So, Alex, I'll let you saturate or be even more saturated with your thoughts there. But Shaquille, I think you had something to add?
Yeah, just wanted to confirm with our IT team and others as well, yes, our PA systems have been compromised. Our displays are not providing the right information. But I was wondering, communicating with the public, we can use different channels as well. As an example, like Twitter or some other accounts that we might be having. Do we know whether those have been compromised as well? If not, maybe we can communicate with public through those accounts.
There is an internal microservice that does do all our social media automation. So that is also part of that system. So we are going to have to dig in a little bit further whether we can trust it. I think we do need to recognize that we might need to be using some of our out-of-band communication tools. In our incident response plan, I'm not sure, was it WhatsApp that was the tool of choice?
I don't know, but the one thing I can tell you is that on the Signal group that this incident team has been using, somebody just joined our Signal group, and it says unknown joined the group via the group link. So if that doesn't throw you into some stress, I don't know what else will. But Dhanush, I see you smiling. You're on the same team as Alex, so your job's on the line here too. But Shilpa, law enforcement, please come to the rescue. We have 5 minutes to go.
I think law enforcement can support here. We've provided support and said, like, if the SOC is really overburdened, there is Canadian Centre for Cybersecurity that can pitch in. They are available to help. There are alternative methods of communication that law enforcement can support, and they can start sending some messages from their end, right? I think we just want to know at what stage this becomes an emergency alert or something like that. I think that's where there are other modes of communication. There is a lot of help here available. One thing that we've still not been able to ascertain is why is the PA system still up and running with the wrong messages? Why haven't we taken that down? That takes away a lot of our risk that we have today with the wrong messaging that's going to the public. I think if we've not been able to figure that out, that's where the experts from other agencies can come and help and support the SOC in taking those decisions. That help is available.
Okay, very quickly, and my screen will pop up very shortly. Edgar, if I can have a quick word from you on the whole deep fakes element as well, and then I need to come down to a decision. I have someone else who will be joining us here in the war room, Nilesh, who is also saying we need to make a containment decision now. But before that, very quickly, Edgar, things like this are popping up on social. We're seeing surges, we're seeing a whole bunch of things. What do we need to put out any information right now to the public, advising them to only focus on certain channels? There's a lot of information that's going out there saying that the surge pricing has kicked in. We've contacted rideshare services. They said they've not instigated any surge pricing. What's going on here? Could this be part of the attackers' TTP as well to spread all of this information?
Yeah, a couple of things. So there could be a link with what we've seen so far in social media, and you are correct. The channel of communication has to be standardized. And so, as I mentioned before, the National Public Alert System should be one of the systems that should be used, as well working with public safety. And the traditional methods of communication, so TV, radio, as well as trusted social media entities. In addition to that, we work closely with the Cyber Threat Intelligence team. And what we have identified so far, based on the AI-generated information, is there are specific tools that are mapped to specific adversaries. And so I'll be willing to share that information with the rest of the team, because it's not just the IOCs, but also the indicators of attack. So we're seeing a pattern on who the attribution is complex, as I mentioned, but we're seeing a pattern of who the adversary might be.
Okay, fair enough. Vivek, do you want to chime in?
Yeah, I just want to make sure I share with you the draft summary I'm taking up to the board. You guys have been busy. I'm not getting the updates I need. It appears we have not achieved containment. We're still chasing analysis. We're still chasing scenarios. No decisions, no criteria have been made. I don't know if we need to reconsider the incident commander role on this, but I think we're going to have to take some significant changes on our path, because I don't even see a path to containment at this point.
I see the incident commander there smiling in the audience. Anyways, I'll leave it at that. Dhanush, go ahead, and then the last words to Alex and Shrey, because your jobs are literally on the line here. So.
Yeah, I thought Vivek wouldn't yell at me, but he did indirectly. So I'd like to throw it back. I did ask for guidance on what needs to be prioritized in terms of containment. I didn't hear anything from Vivek. But that being said, I think we do have some clear indicators of what needs to be done. Starting with those APIs, there were a lot of red flags in addition to the microservices tied to the PA system. So I think containing those, shutting those down, isolating them is the right word, would help us get to a better position of containment until we know more. So I'll leave it at that. As long as Vivek can approve that, I think we're good to go. You need to take some accountability, Vivek.
I don't think, if you're going to wait for the board to tell you how to do your job, you're the wrong person in the job. I'm sorry.
Fire. Go ahead.
I need you to come forward with recommendations, decisions, and options, not excuses and waiting for the board to tell you what to do. I'm sorry.
That's okay. You're forgiven.
All right, Alex, as I stand in between these two angry young men, Alex, containment, what are we taking offline? And I can tell you one thing. I know you're saying, how much capabilities do we have to go manual with our services? We do, but then there's something called unions, and the union reps are gearing up for conversations with all of us. So keep that in mind, but the last word to you, what's our containment strategy?
The SOC does not make business decisions. We make technical advice to the business. Now, what we would advise is doing a limited containment of shutting down microservices that we believe are associated to what we're seeing on the front end. For two reasons. That is the sort of the common denominator of all these systems is the back end. I don't think going station to station, unlocking the cabinets and turning off the screens does much more than reducing some of the public concern, but it's not going to address it. There may be consequences of turning this off that we don't know. We've never tested this, and there's just so much interdependencies with these applications. I'm digging through some of this documentation. Some of it was drawn on napkins, but I digress. So I would recommend, but it is the business's decision on whether we take a sledgehammer to shutting down some of those systems. Secondly, doing an inventory of API keys. Luckily, we do have a key management system, so we should have all those API keys tracked in there and tied to our identity system. So we can start looking at and trying to identify any suspicious API keys being called. Again, the system lives off of APIs, so it's sort of looking for a needle in a pile of needles, but we are going to try to do some correlation. Again, their challenge is none of this data is in a powerful SIM like Darktrace, so we are having to do the correlation manually with the old copy and paste and Control F.
Wow, cool story. So are we basically saying we're switching to manual, we are taking down the PA systems, we are delivering some sort of public communication, whatever that is, to be drafted for the next module, and business not as usual?
That's what it sounds like, but our technical team does not manage the operations of the system. So when we turn those things off, it will feel manual, whether the team is operating manually.
Fair enough. I will bring that back for discussion in the next module. And with that, I want to thank all of you, our sponsor Darktrace, and all of my advisors for joining us for this module. We're about a minute and a half over, but that is okay. Module 3 will begin at approximately 1 p.m. For those watching online, links are being shared as well to the Immersive Labs environment where you can practice. There'll be some reports and some links from the Darktrace site that we'll share as well, and then in the next session from Trend Micro as well. With that said, we are in a very delicate situation. I want to thank you all for attending, and I'll invite you to join lunch the way siberX, the team here, would like me to invite you, and that is siberX transit systems may not know where they're going, but our volunteers surely know where you need to be going to pick up some fuel for lunch. See you in approximately 1 hour. Have a good one.
Hold the elevator! Oh, strong move. If this elevator worked like Darktrace AI, you'd still be out in the lobby.
Sorry, he's always like this.
You see, Darktrace shuts the door on cyber threats.
Credential theft, insider attacks, phishing scams.
Well, what do you think of that then, Gerald? If that is your name, of course.
Easy. He's not a threat. He's simply a metaphor.
Thank you.
Welcome to the era of AI cybersecurity. Defend Beyond with Darktrace.
The goal is to eliminate security threats as they appear in customer or clients' environments. RSM Defense is a suite of managed security products, everything from identity to full detect and respond capabilities, assessments, and compliance activities. Our job is to keep you out of the news.
It's giving you a single picture and view into your risk posture, and you're able to make quick decisions and allocate limited resources to the areas of highest risk.
Our clients really do appreciate having a single point of contact. They know who to contact. We really want to be an extended arm of your team. We work with our clients to build that service and customize it to your business needs.
We're in there learning your organization, we're in there learning your processes, and we're helping augment your team and allow them to focus on more of the business operations side while our teams handle the day-to-day activities.
Our first line of defense is to help them identify what are the gaps, what are the assets that they have, and making sure that they have a clear picture of what's going on. We provide services 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
And they know that we are going to connect them with the right people.
It's about prioritizing the threats that we look at and the order that we look at and the criticality, because at the end of the day, it's speed to response that's important.
Find someone that you feel comfortable working with on a day-to-day, someone you can trust, someone that you know will operate with you and grow with your organization, and that's what the RSM Defense team does.
In our rapidly evolving digital landscape, speed and efficiency are key to keeping ahead of security risks. Welcome to a new era of cyber resilience with cyber risk exposure management. Cyber risk exposure management isn't just a tool, it's your partner on your security journey, enabling you to reduce complexity, optimize compliance, and proactively protect your organization from threats and attacks. Try cyber risk exposure management free for 30 days. Sign up now.